ready?
I'm ready now. We're doing it.
You're ready now.
Yes, we're ready now.
Well, so am I.
All right.
Let me start this off by saying several things. Number one, I think this is a very special evening, and I'll have to preface it by saying that. And I have to start off with a little story. Start off with a little story. We're going to get back to the reading that was ended on the 16th of this month, and why it is
Last month. Last month.
Last month. Oh, sorry. Oh, wow. I'll explain why it is that I felt compelled to stop reading from the ghetto sketches. But first, the little story. Somebody asked me the other day, one of my friends, I'm not going to mention her name or his name, how did you start reading? I mean, how did you start writing? You know, how did you become a writer? And I thought about it, and, you know, well, a professional writer is somebody who gets paid for writing, right? I thought about it, and I realized it happened when I was maybe 10, 12 years old, and I was living in a building where there were a number of people who could not read. Consequently, they couldn't write. So they would get official letters and whatever welfare things that they should answer and so forth. And somebody discovered that the kid in the basement could read and write. So they called on me. I remember one, not very old lady, middle-aged lady, she had 4 or 5 kids or something, and she had some kind of welfare questionnaire she had to answer. The check marks were okay, you know, hit this box. But when it came to explanations as to, you know, what is happening and so forth, she didn't have the words to write. So she engaged me. How do we do this? So, you know, I don't know what to tell them. I don't know. I don't have 4 kids. But I tell you what, you tell me what you want to tell them and I'll write it out. And that's where we started doing that. So I looked up and I wound up having 4 or 5 clients in that building who were paying me anywhere from a quarter to 50 cents. I don't think we ever got up to $1, but anyway, fast forwarding a little bit, I looked up and I was 15 at DuSable High School in Chicago, on Chicago's great South Side, and the popular thing to do at the time for young men who were wanting to have some kind of relationship with that girl over there, the thing to do was to write a note. You know, it was a very literate time when you think about it. I mean, some guys have become really great poets. They became doo-wop singers, you know, from that time. I'm walking down the hall with my friend, and he says, "Wow, man, look at her. Nothing like a nice cup of tea on a cold day, I'm telling you." Did you have some?
I shall after
Okay.
when we're retired, yes.
That Moroccan tea especially has a little tang to it.
Especially your cup.
Yeah, especially in my cup. He says, "I'd like to, you know, get to know her a little bit better. So why don't you write her a note?" So, man, I don't know anything. I can't write, you know. So, hey, tell you what, Eddie, I'll write a note for you. You will? How much you charge? $1 per page. I don't want but 1 page. So, okay, that was my first letter to somebody for somebody. Who was the guy? I was a scribbling Cyrano.
Yes, Cyrano.
I was scribbling Cyrano. I wrote the letter, and next thing I knew, he was prancing down the hall with this little cutie pie. It didn't quite work out because the way he explained it to me, he came back later and said, hey, you got me over, you got me halfway there. But she wants me to take her to the movies, and she wants me to take her to the Peps, to go dance, and she wants me to do this and that and this and that. Hey man, I can't face that. I'm barely coming to school. So, things work out. Some things work out sometimes. Okay, it got to the point where in my sophomore year, I was charging $1 for an ordinary, $2 for a special, $3 for an exotique, and $4 for an outrageous. I've written a book offering examples of what kind of writing an ordinary was as opposed to an outrageous. Went through 4 years of it. Had a great time. I had deadlines I had to meet. I was doing pretty good. And two things happened. One was bad, the other was somewhat good. A friend of mine named Eddie asked me to write a note for him. Who was it to? Just address it to the mystery girl, the mystery woman. Okay, I don't care. What do we got here? We got ordinary, outrageous. Make it exotic. When it went exotic, it had to do with balmy ocean breezes riffling through the palms late at night as we laid out on the beach and admired the setting sun and stuff. Okay, especially if she had a name like Mamie, I could say, and I was there with you, Mamie, my Mamie, or me Mamie. I did that. And in the meanwhile, I never even tried to work for my own benefit because I was so busy trying to chase some girl for somebody else.
Take care of business. Right.
I was busy. I was playing Cyrano. And I looked up and I had checked out this little cutie pie. She was so neat and so cute. And I dug her full up front and amber behind. You could look at her, you lose your mind. And things.
Yeah.
And before I had a chance to write the master note to her, I looked up and she's walking down the hall with Eddie. I had first case of writer's block. It lasted for about 6 weeks. I couldn't bring myself. People, hey, I wrote dude say, oh no, I'm making my money back. I could write this. Not only that, it has no effect on anything. So that was like my career beginning and ending. The second part of it is that Dr. Margaret Burroughs, who became my mentor early on at DuSable, caught me writing a note that had an abnormal number of profanities in it, put it that way. By today's standards, they would have just been simply little dirty words. Damn, hell, stuff like that.
Yeah, right.
And she made me go to a writing workshop with the threat that if I didn't go, she would fail me in the class. I'd have to take it over again. So I went, and a girlfriend of hers, a white woman named Margaret Peterson, had this class on 51st and King Drive. It was called South Parkway then. Later on, it became King Drive. And I went for about 6 or 7 sessions, and it was just a little bit too advanced for me. They were all grown people, and they were writing all these sophisticated stories, sitting up there smoking cigarettes with their own private ashtrays. And after class was over, they would go down to the Grand Hotel half a block away with the statue of George Washington in front of it on his trusty white horse. They would go in there and, you know, have daiquiris, and I couldn't go. So I gave it up. I quit it for a while. But I kept writing. I was always writing, and from time to time it would pay off, sometimes it wouldn't. Until, fast forwarding once again, I wound up in the Watts Writers Workshop in 1966, and that was a gold mine, because they had producers coming to try to lure us. They needed to have us to offset the defamation of not having a diverse workforce. Like I think 1966, they may have had 8 or 9 writers of color in a union of 9,000 or something like that. Anyway, that's the way I got into the business. I haven't ever looked back in any negative way, because it's been an adventure. In 2000, year 2000, I happened to be fortunate enough to literally stumble across a woman who was willing to share this adventure, who would go into this thing. I'll talk more about her in a little bit, because she has come up out of the woodwork by taking a story about a planet called Azi, where the men give birth. The men give birth by A-section, flap over, only one birth per lifetime, if they're careful. You have to be careful, though. In the wrong season of the year, they might get a little hot there. So, having said all that, I'm going to make an effort once again to go back to reading from the Ghetto Sketches 2021. My excuse, as I say, I use an excuse, is that I had to stop reading the names of the people who had been killed by the police, because I was beginning to feel a sense of despair. I was feeling...
But for future readers, one should not despair, one should just accept the fact that this is the past, and we're hoping
I agree with you totally.
Helping to move forward to the future, a better future.
I agree with you totally.
Though it does affect us.
Well, the only problem is that it's easy to say that, but difficult to make it work. I wanted to make it work, and I kept trying to, week after week, ever since last month. I wanted to sit down here on Monday night and read the entrance to the Ghetto Sketches, so that I could begin to do what we've been doing over this long period of time. So I'll start. I had stopped at number 103 of the people who've been killed by police since George Floyd's murder. Well, when did he die? He died, oh man, you know, I'm beginning to hate this already. George Floyd was killed. Well, I won't stay there. Sean Lakeem Brody, 37, Laurel, Maryland. Jason Bryce, 39, Laverne, Tennessee. Kenneth Jones, 35, Omaha, Nebraska. Rodney Applewhite, 25, Los Lunas, New Mexico. Terrell Smith, 17, Atlanta, Georgia. Rondell Goppy, 41, Queens, New York. Ellis Fry Jr., 62, Culpeper, Virginia. Gary Donald of Truxillo, Houma, Louisiana. Mickey MacArthur, 28, Ferry Pass, Florida. Udofio Ecom Abasi, Phoenix, Arizona. James David Hawley, 47, Pineville, Louisiana. Kevin Fox, 28, Detroit, Michigan. Dominique Harris, 20, St. Petersburg, Florida. Maurice Jackson, 42, Phoenix, Arizona. Andre K. Sterling, 35, Bronx, New York. Casey Christopher Goodson, Jr., 23, Columbus, Ohio. Kwame O'Neill, 47, Toledo, Ohio. Mark Brewer, 28, St. Louis, Missouri. Donald Edwin Sanders, 37, Dayton, Ohio. Thomas Reeder, III, 44, Flint, Michigan. Joseph R. Crawford, 23, Fort Atkinson, Wisconsin. Joshua Feast, 22, Lamarck, Texas. Charles E. Jones, 36, Houston, Texas. Benny Edwards, 60, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Jeremy Daniels, 29, Concord Mills, North Carolina. Johnny Bolton, 49, Smyrna, Georgia. Larry Taylor, 39, Mobile, Alabama. Andre Maurice Hill, 47, Columbus, Ohio. Isaac Fraser, 31, Houston, Texas. Sheikh Mustafa Davis, 20, Midway, Georgia. Shamar Ogman, 30, Hartford, Connecticut. Macavacious Rashad Parks, 26, Davisboro, Georgia. Larry Ham, 47, Denver, Colorado. Helen Jones, 47, Phoenix, Arizona. Jason Cooper, 28, Charleston, South Carolina. Jaquan Haynes, 18, Atlanta, Georgia. I'm going to have to stop this again.
Okay, and you were asking about Floyd. His was May 25th, 2020.
I guess I just didn't want to remember. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, that's the downside.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take us to another place now.
Please.
Because I think it's a really good place to go. Oh man, I'm so happy that this happened. In 1992, as we all remember, the police tried to beat Rodney King to death. In the first of the, what I call, real life videos. You know, we've been talking about these things. Oh, the police do this, police do that, so now we don't have any proof. It's your word against his. But when you start showing pictures, in any case, a white guy named Holiday, I believe his name was, managed to use his new video camera to video some policemen trying to beat Rodney King, a black man, like he was a creature without a soul. I mean, they just tried to destroy him. You could see it. I don't know how many minutes it lasted on the tape, but it lasted a lifetime for him. In any case, I had purchased a ticket to go to Ghana before this matter occurred. I was going to go to Ghana because I wanted to go, not to do what Alex Haley had already done for us, which is to trace our background. We know where we came from. But I wanted to have some feeling of my own about this motherland thing. So, as I recall, the plane was circling LA on its way east, and the smoke from the riots that had occurred as a result of King's beating was still, coming up in the air. It's a feeling I never will forget, because it was like I was leaving a burning ship, a sinking ship, and there's nothing to be done about it, because the people who were at the top of the heap were not going to stop trying to do what they did or what they were doing. In any case, off I go to Ghana. I had done my homework. I wanted to go to an English-speaking African country on the West Coast, because I had some vibes and feeling about the possibility of having come from that area, Ghana. It just so happened, after having done the ancestry thing, I discovered that some percentage of my ancestry is in that area. Plane ride was very long, but didn't matter. I arrived in Accra, Ghana at Katoko Airport, I believe May the 3rd, 1992. Baby. 1992.
Mm-hmm.
I was home. I didn't get out of the plane and kiss the ground and all of that. I wanted to see what matters were like. I think I had $50 in my pocket. I had made a deal with some African Americans who lived there to rent a room in their house in an area of Accra called Osu.
Mm-hmm.
Osu. Osu could have been the Washburn Avenue, Halsted Street, West Side, all jumbled together, except that there were no Jewish merchants in Accra. There were Lebanese merchants. It was kind of a strange feeling, because I had left a place where people were calling black people niggers and burning crosses on our lawns and all this kind of negative racist stuff. And here, there were no racists. Matter of fact, the Ghanaians, who are some of the loveliest people in the whole wide world, the Ghanaians didn't even curse. A curse might be something like, look at my face. Look at what you're making me feel like. Do you know who I am? I saw a fender bumper one day. I'm sitting on the second floor of a beer parlor, and I'm looking over the little wrought iron fence at a little fender bender, and one guy gets out, kind of nice cars, and he's, got his English suit on in the middle of this hot day, and he says to this other fellow, "See here, you are annoying me. Look at what you've done to my vehicle." And the other guy said, "But you ran into me." And I'm thinking, when do they start? When does the fist start flying and the and the car irons? And you simply got to watch it, man. Sit up. And that was that. And they went off. Okay, so this is the environment that I'm in. I was there about 3 months when the lady of the house suggested that I should go visit a man named Kojo Yanka, who was the director of the Ghana Institute of Journalism at that time. I was not on very good terms with the man and woman of the house that I lived in, so I need not mention their names. There's no need to speak ill of the dead. But she did do me this great favor. I went to see Mr. Kojo Yanka. He had an idea to do a detective series on Ghana television. A detective series. I'm a writer. Wonderful gentleman. I mean, I couldn't imagine a greater antithesis of a so-called Hollywood producer. I mean, you know, he was relaxed. Could you do that? Could you do the idea that I have in mind? Yes. What it would take is like the creation of what they call in Hollywood a Bible. That would be like a treatment, an outline, a pilot featuring all of the lead characters in the piece, and you know what the theme of it would be. You know, like Columbo, and you know, I got one more question to ask you, and certain sort of stereotypical things that would identify. You know, that I can do that. I can do that. He said, "Well, how long would it take?" I'm thinking, tonight. I give it to you tomorrow. But instead, I played it safe. So it would take about 2 weeks. We were on. I was going to write a Bible for the Inspector Betty Arco show. Kojo Yanka had very specific ideas about the Africanness of it. He wanted it to be an African man who was not trying to pretend to be Sherlock Holmes, and he wasn't depending on a lot of Europeanisms, no car traces through the streets, you know, no superfluous, gratuitous sexual scenes. A guy who used his brain to solve crimes.
Family show.
A family show. I mean, it was the whole concept was so new to me. I stumbled trying to write it because we were so used to having the overt sex thing that was the first thing. You know, the lady pulled up us later. None of that. But the interesting thing I found, the more I worked with it, the easier it became, because if you have people who rely on the intellects and rely on the reason, it becomes a very interesting exercise. You know, it should happen. I'd like to show you a picture of my friend, Kojo Yanka.
Ah. Hold on one second.
This is a very well-written book of his life. And all of the things that, well, I won't say all of the things, but many of the things that have happened to him in his life. Can I show you the other one?
Yes, please. What's that one called?
This one is called Our Motherland, My Life.
Okay, and it can be purchased on Amazon or
Amazon.com,
right.
surely.
Kojo Yanka, okay.
This one, which predates 1619, incidentally. Each one of these people have their own styles and so forth and so on. But for those who don't know anything about Jamestown and what that represents, I would suggest they read this book, written by...
It's from Jamestown to Jamestown, right?
From Jamestown to Jamestown. As you know from having been there.
Oh, the Jamestown.
There's a Jamestown, a few clicks north of Osu.
Yeah.
You go right up this road, Labadi Road, and you'll wind up in Jamestown. I went there many times when it was really kind of a rough place to be, but I didn't have any problems and nobody bothered me or anything like that.
But over the years it got a little more rougher.
I suspect because of economic circumstances. You know, like everywhere else in the world, some of the wealthiest people are becoming more wealthy, and some of the poor people are becoming poor. Anyway, I wanted to show you that to Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't give you a whole title. From Jamestown to Jamestown, Letters from an African Child is what the title
Let me
is.
show one more time. Let me zoom in one more time. And this is just two of many books that Kojo Yanka has written, right? He's written others. He's very prolific, well-educated man.
Well, you'd be able to get a lot of things about him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Inspector Betty Arco was a hit. Was a hit. And I have to say, one of the proudest things I can point at in my life is the fact that I was involved with it. You know, my official credits, which are repeated in Wikipedia, right here.
Zoom in a little bit. Yes.
Can you see it?
Hold on. Let me zoom in on Wikipedia. They can kind of guess it, but they can do a search for Inspector Bediako and on Wikipedia, and that would come up.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. The reason I'm showing you this is because here's what they're saying. Inspector Bediako is a Ghanaian TV series which was aired in the 1990s. It portrayed the character of a young, intelligent detective who catches criminals using various investigative methods of which he succeeds no matter the situation. The TV series was loved by Stephanie S. Sullivan. At the time it was on air, it was the only locally produced law enforcement series on television in Ghana. I think it was the only television law enforcement series in West Africa at that time. That includes Nigeria and so forth and so on. Inspector Bediako was launched on 24th March 1993 in Accra by Kojo Yanka, who also created the series. He was the director of the Ghana Institute of Journalism until 1993. He was also a member of Parliament for Agona West from January 1993. The first episode, entitled Murder of Bontuku, was aired on 3 April 1993 on Ghana television. They were 30-minute episodes. This episode highlighted the cooperation necessary between the police and the public in solving crime. This program filled a void left over after Derek, a crime detective series, stopped showing in Ghana. I don't know anything about that. There has been speculation that the series was due to return in Ghana in 2017. Auditions were done for people interested in playing some of the characters in Accra in March 2017. Now, here's the name of the list of people who were there for the original, at the beginning of the genre, Inspector Bediako. The genre, detective crime series, created by Kojo Yanka, written by Odie Hawkins, directed by Odie Hawkins, creative director Odie Hawkins, starring Oscar Provençal, Inspector Bediako, Ray Bediako, who was one of the early people. Eventually, Oscar became the Bediako. Kuzwa Abdallah played Aisha. Gloria Ababio played Della. And Professor Martin Owusu. The composer of the music was a man named William Anku, and the executive producer, of course, was Kojo Yanka. Anyway, I really had such a good time when we went to visit Ghana in 2013 and in 2016. 13 and 14. And we had a chance to hook up with Kojo, and he was gracious enough, he and his wife, Nana, to take us to their seaside place. We had a beautiful afternoon with other friends. And he mentioned, I think in sort of a casual way, we'll have to do, Bediako again.
Yes.
And I thought, oh, that sounds like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And we went on having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, whoa, we got to you.
Yes. Well. Mm-hmm.
We got to news
From Kojo himself.
from Kojo going through Zola Salena's superb research capabilities.
Well, he sent you a message to your Facebook.
Well,
Yes.
you picked the message up. I feel seldom pick anything up.
Okay,
So
okay.
I have to be honest about it. I'm not good with the telephone or picking messages up. But lo and behold, we looked up and we discovered that Inspector Bediako was back and that it would be premiering on Aquaba Magic Television December the 6th
Tomorrow.
at 8:30 p.m.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how we can get it. Maybe we can't.
But it'd be great if they could see it in America as well.
Oh, wouldn't that
Through
be?
Netflix or, yes,
man.
Hulu or, stream it. It would be fantastic.
Okay, they've made certain necessary changes.
Well, enough Ghanaians and Africans here in America that would love to see it again.
Oh,
that
I'm sure.
Grew up
I'm
on
sure.
Inspector Bediako.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what it looks like.
Well, yeah, you have a poster.
The legend is back, it said.
All right, let me zoom in on that.
Ha! This is Oscar. I don't know this other man over here, but
Hold it up just a little bit. And yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. Yeah. Very cool. And the other one? Uh-huh. Very, very impressive young men and older men. And a very impressive young lady, too.
it'd be a good thing to know what her name is, but that's coming.
That's coming. It's being right out.
In any case, before I start hopping up and down and getting too happy, I just ask you to imagine what do you think you would feel like going to Ghana, West Africa, long ago, well, not long ago, in 1992, and having the opportunity to participate in the development of a detective show that became very popular. And years later, the show is relaunched. And I mean, you can think of yourself as somebody who was there.
Well, in fact, they have a Facebook page for Inspector Bediako.
Oh,
Okay, and in the comments, people are very happy that it's returned, and some people are saying they love the theme music for the show, and they hope that will also return to be the same music.
oh,
So
wow.
this, you have these grown folks that, are elders now, and they want to relive
Yes,
the show.
yes, me too.
Yeah.
I want to see it.
Yes, yes, yes.
But however, whatever. It's real. It's a real pleasure to be able to congratulate Kojo for
Ashe.
it must have been difficult. You know how it is to go through the negotiations and whatever.
But he's such a capable man, and with the support of his wife, hey,
There you go.
there you go.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's good.
Let's see how it works out. I mean, if the pandemic lets up a bit and we can travel sometime soon in the coming year, it would be fantastic to be able to spend 2 weeks like we did,
Yes.
just hanging out.
Yeah,
Now
this
you'd
is such
have a television set to hang out on. And believe me, they have real fun.
I'm sure they do. You
Look,
told
I'm
me.
not going to spend the rest of the evening on that. What I'd like to do at this point in time is bring a young lady into the scene. No, not you. I'm talking about your mom. I'm like, I was just talking to Russell. He was trying to edge onto this thing.
Okay, all right.
No, not you. Zola Salena-Hawkins has taken it upon herself to do a little work. And what she did is something that I hope will tickle your satirical funny bone. In a book that I wrote called Lady Bliss.
Yes, Lady Bliss.
At the end of it, in a fit of,
With the assistance of Ralph Vernon.
with the assistance of my scientific friend Ralph Harold Vernon.
Yes.
His assistance was invaluable because there were some things I could not even think of knowing about scientifically, and he helped me through that. I claim credit for all of the mistakes that are made in the last half of the book because that's where I'm showing my itness.
Itness. Oops. Itness. Oh, gosh. All right.
I postured, or I premised, that there might be a possibility in another world at a future time when men might be giving birth to children by way of their special A section. I was trying to aim at some of this male chauvinist, misogynist craziness that we experience on planet Earth that keeps us from appreciating some of the most valuable members of our species, that is women. That is women, y'all, women. But I didn't quite go far enough. I think that Zola Salena-Hawkins, the woman I'm glad to call my wife, took it a step further with a little thing that might be considered, I don't know. Tell me what you think. We've already gotten some comments from, Facebook?
Yeah, I did on Facebook. Yeah.
YouTube?
No, not YouTube. It'll be on YouTube thanks to you.
Follow closely. I'm going to read this carefully because there's some complicated ideas and things in here. The title of it is Earth's Roe versus Wade Now. Aziz Thomas versus Kavanaugh. And is written by Sister, S-I-S-T-A, Sister Lysistrata, a.k.a. Sister Zola. Evidently she wants to indicate there's a difference between sisters of color and women who are not of color, who are titled sisters. I wanted to make that distinction at the very beginning.
Most definitely.
So there would be no misunderstanding in the way that I'm reading it.
Most definitely.
Good morning. Good morning, Intercellular Council. Sister Lysistrata from One Witness News. No, that's a man. This is a woman.
This is a woman, yes. It's a woman talking.
Good morning, Intercellular Council. Sister Lysistrata from One Witness News. I'm reporting outside of the ASEAN Council. The 8 beings, Mali 1 and Mali 2, are hearing the petitions of Mr. Thomas, Mr. Kavanaugh, who are representing the childbearing men of Aziz. Azians live an average of 200 years. Mr. Thomas is 200 years and wants access to birth control and or abortion rights. He is represented by Sister Sonia Soto. Mr. Kavanaugh is 210 years old and believes that Mr. Thomas is too young and consequently is not reflecting the best interests of the ASEANs. In our earlier report, he said, "Here's another example of how youth is wasted on the young. Mr. Thomas should be willing to have as many children as his wife desires." Sister Amy Berner is representing Mr. Kavanaugh and is confident that they will prevail and have their personal views established as the law in Aziz. Let us return to the council to hear the case. Sister Sonia is speaking. Mali 1 and 2, Mali 2, the 8 beings.
Witness.
I come before you to speak on behalf of Mr. Thomas. As you can read in the petition, he is only 200 years old. Through the traditional A section, he has given birth 3 times. The fact that it takes 30 weeks for the solidification to take place, he and Sister Thomas had no idea that there would be complications. And there were complications. There were unprecedented challenges with the last child. Mr. Thomas almost died. Yes, he almost died. While he was in a medically induced coma, he reflected on the additional factors dealing with childbirth. Mm-hmm. Most men in our society are unaware of these additional factors that make childbirth more than a pop it in and pop it out experience. Without some form of birth control, he and Sister Thomas will be denied the intimacy that they have had as husband and wife. Stop. Put down the violins and let's deal with the facts. You all know me as a law-abiding Azian. Sister Amy, I have not finished my opening remarks to the council. Sister Sonia, you're going on and on. My opening remarks will take less time and are more in tune with the will of the people. What people, Sister Amy? Are you talking about those individuals who are driven mad with all the information they're getting online from Earth? This was a utopian society. But now we're here to discuss the need for birth control and abortion because we're becoming more influenced by Earth than Earth influenced by us. Parents are questioning the it beings. And children are questioning their parents. We need this matter resolved so that we can make plans about how to proceed from here. Too many Azian men are becoming overwhelmed with the possibility of giving birth to so many children. If we don't take action now, we will have babies growing up to be unloved, unwanted children. We do not have the social networks necessary to help the families and or the children. We will be just like Earth, and our men will be going to 6 world countries to get abortions because no one thought about how to help prevent an overpopulation problem. Mm-hmm. We will be just like Earth, and our men will be going to 6 world countries to get abortions because no one thought about how to help prevent an overpopulation problem. I felt that it was necessary to repeat that line so that you will all understand. Consequently, we now have 9 boys who are pregnant. These boys want their lives back. 3 are on suicide watch. All of them don't want to give birth. They are ashamed and their families have abandoned them. On Aziz, we don't have a Planned Parenthood organization to assist in birth control, prenatal care, STD testing, testicular cancer screenings, urinary tract infections, cervical cancer screenings, telehealth, and behavioral health. We had none of these problems until we let those ambassadors from Earth do a teen exchange. Sister Amy, welcome to the real world. Sister Sonia, I am in the real world according to me and Mr. Kavanaugh. Aziz know that my husband and I have several wonderful children. We got from other Azians who were struggling with resources to take care of the children. All our children know that when they reach the age of 100, we will take them and introduce them to their birth parents. Everyone will be happy. The birth parents will know that one day they will see their child again and appreciate the fact that they didn't have to care for the child all those years. Console, there's always someone who will take an Azian baby into their home. They will treat it as such unwanted children as well. The children will never feel like they were unwanted or a burden on their birth parents. These adopted children will be taught how to talk, how to dress, how to think, what to think, and by the time the brainwashing is done, you won't even know the circumstances that gave birth to them. We could have special burial grounds for those men who die in the process of getting an illegal abortion. This will be a deterrent for those who break our laws. The shame of being buried in such burial grounds. Everyone will know that they sinned and broke the law as we see it. All the birth parent will have to do is carry the baby to term. It's not like society is asking them to take care of the baby after it's born. Why would a man reject this offer? We are right and will always be right no matter what you say. Silence! I, Mali 1, shall speak. Mali 2 warned Aziz not to expose our society to earth. Too many of you refused to listen to her. You believed earth's big lies. You did not examine closely earth's history on any level. You did not pay attention to how the governments on earth too often tell their big lies to their people. You see how people are divided over Roe versus Wade, sometimes getting violent. We don't know how earth will rule because they consistently refuse to connect the dots. Now do you see what this has done to Aziz? We are fortunate in the scientific achievements we've accomplished. We can correct some of our issues here. Regarding Aziz Thomas versus Kavanaugh, Mali 2 and I are in agreement. This is how it will be here on Aziz. Through time travel, we will unravel the pregnancies of these boys. Life lessons and relationships will be taught in the schools. All Azian men will learn what their bodies and minds experience when they are pregnant. The sisters, women of color, and the sisters will learn all of this too. We can't have our Azians as ignorant as many of the earthlings are. All Azians will fully understand and know what to look forward to with a pregnancy or what to do so that they can enjoy intimacy without worrying about having babies. Remember, we are better than this. We are not earthlings. We are Azians. Itness! Itness! Itness!
Thank you, Odie. Hawkins.
I'm a bit overwrought. No, but it is a beautiful piece, I think. And you've been having enough feedback to know that you've touched something. What if? Well, let me hear you talk about it.
Well, basically, if the she was on the other foot, if men got
The shoe was on the other foot? Is that a pun?
No, not entirely. Then I truly believe we would not be going through this issue of birth control or what one does in the bed and what one doesn't do in the bed. That men, I would say primarily about Caucasian men, but other men in general, because there are men in Afghanistan and other ruling countries in India and so forth, that...
What would happen if you asked men to run around in burqas?
Thank you. Yes. You know, let them enjoy the constrictions that they would want to put on women, or that they put on women.
Enjoy, that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, why not? Let them enjoy this.
Yes. Let them enjoy pregnancies. Let them enjoy not getting good health care because people want to shut down clinics and destroy what progress we have made. All right? But
wait a minute. Let me get something straight. I'm not really as much up to date as I should be on this. But haven't we had this as a constitutional right for the past 50-some years?
Yes,
That's settled law.
yes, it was supposed
Then
to
how can
be.
you, as Sonia,
but-
when y'all,
Justices that want to put a stench upon the Supreme Court, that want us not believe that they follow the Constitution, they do not believe in precedents, that they don't care that their views are more important regardless of what the people want. And it's unfortunate.
okay,
And I put, all the people who will be going into back alleys to have abortions, their blood is on those individuals' hands.
you know what is amongst other things that puzzles me? I'm trying to figure out why it is almost every so-called civilized society I could think of, including the Eskimo society, have always given the right of a woman to have control of what she carries in her body.
Yes.
Whether or
Precisely.
not she chooses to have this being or not.
Most
I mean,
definitely.
How can you get a group of middle-aged white men who don't have any idea what a birth?
Don't even understand when a woman will know whether or not she's pregnant. Okay?
That's the funniest
That,
one.
I mean, at least if you're going to make a rule, you won't have, people are required to understand a car before you drive a car. And for those who don't understand the repercussions of their sexual acts, then they should not have sex. Because they're making rules that they would not want to live by.
Well,
So,
oh,
F off.
yeah, I mean, it's so callous for this
It is.
woman, Bernie,
Amy.
Amy, for her to say things like, well, you just have the baby and you can
Dropped the kid off at the fire department. Oh, that's great. When were you born? I don't know. I was dropped off at the fire department.
And all of that.
It's just so callous and so unaware of what the average day woman goes through.
Okay, you know what? I think this would be a perfect place to leave this at what we might call a moment in time.
It is a moment.
Because I've taken up as much time as I think I need to take up to explain why it is that I've not been trying to get through Ghetto Sketches 2021 over the course of these past weeks.
But you don't want folks to be discouraged upon reading Ghetto Sketches 2021, but you do want them to be made aware of what the present has brought.
I'm going to continue it because
Okay.
it continues.
It does
As a
continue.
matter of fact, we just had a recent murder of a young man named Nathaniel Woods in, I believe it's New York. You almost had a murder of a young man in some other place.
I think it was Missouri.
I mean, it's
White neighbor killed a black man, and he said it was self-defense.
Get rid of black men, right? Just
I don't know. It's just so
accuse them of
unfortunate.
something, keep them in jail for 40 years, so they don't have any kids, and then kill them. That seems like.
It's unfortunate.
When I taught class, I was in jail for 4 years as a teacher.
Thank you.
I hate
Clarify
that.
that. Clarify.
I had 2 years teaching a creative writing class at Chino, and 2 years teaching a creative writing class in San Quentin, and also up the road at something called the Varel Boys Compound, or whatever they call it. Anyway, it was teenage boys in jail. At Chino, it's a minimum security prison in Southern California. The first thing I did was, make friends with some people who like to run their mouths and ask, what is that guy in for? So he's innocent. I said, no, I'm talking about him. He's innocent. What about him? Well, he's not guilty. So wait a minute, what are you saying? I got a class of 15 people, and the rest of the people in the class, 13 people in the class have identified 2 of the people as not being guilty. And these are hardened criminals. They were. They told you, I'm a hardened criminal. I've done wrong, but the guy's innocent. How do you know he's innocent? We know, because we know what happened. We know it was even worse in San Quentin, because it's a maximum security prison. When you go there and you go into the hole, you go into a dungeon underneath the dungeon. That's the jail. And I asked the same question. I want to know who's in my class. You give the guy a pack of cigarettes, or you give him a package of gum, or just simply indicate that you intend to be a fair and square teacher. So, okay, what's Jones in for? I forget what he's in for, but he's innocent. How long has he been here? 30 years. Well, wait a minute. You're saying he's innocent? He's been in jail for 30 years? Yeah, he's trying to get out. You know, and he's beginning to get a little help from Innocence Projects and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But he has already served 30 years. What about the guy over there? Oh, the old man, the one in the wheelchair? Yeah, he's been here 40 years. What was he in for? He was on the scene of some place where they committed a crime. And what can I say?
On a better note, folks,
Itness.
exercise,
That's a good idea.
chill out.
Chill out.
Okay.
See you next Monday.
See you next Monday.
Next Monday. I'm looking forward to that.
Likewise.
Thank you for your very interesting Roe versus Wade.
Well, thank you for Lady Bliss, your book, which I just, got a idea from.
Keep on.
All right. Ashe.